So we left off by producing the track that we were going to record to in Sonar. And again, I'm just going to use plugins that are in Sonar X2. More than likely they're in X3, except for V-Vocal. I think Sonar X3 now has a version of Melodyne that they use instead of V-Vocal. But we're going to use our V-Vocal, and you can use Melodyne if you're in X3, or if you have X2 or X1, you can use V-Vocal. The first thing that we need to do is import our music. So let's create a track. Now that was a production track, and what I did was export every track to an audio file so that now my session won't be super CPU heavy, because I'm going to have to add a lot of plugins and effects, and that takes up a lot of CPU usage. So if you try to stack plugins on top of VSTs and instruments, it may take up a lot of CPU on your computer, and it may slow it down. The best thing to do is to keep your mix clean by exporting everything to a WAV, or if you're on a Mac, AIFF. If you're using another program, Sonar doesn't work on Macs. So I'm going to start a new the next thing that I need to do is I need to remember the BPM, and the BPM on the song is 120, so I don't have to change the BPM. Now I'm going to import my audio files into Sonar. I can go to that folder, I can go to the audio folder that I moved them into, and I can bring these, they call them trackouts or stems, in. Uncheck copy audio to project folder, because these audios are already in your project folder. So I clicked OK, it's already on the right time, and now it creates 14 tracks of music for me, and I'm not dealing with MIDI anymore, it's all audio. Moving on, I'm going to take this part out here, the bus pane, because I don't need that right now, and I'm going to hit I to take out the track inspector, and I'm going to hit B to take out the browser. Then I'm going to hit Control down to widen these tracks out a little bit. And I'm also kind of OCD, so I'm going to go in here and erase all this stuff. Now you don't have to do this, okay? But you may be one person who doesn't want to mix your own stuff, and you might want to send the stems to somebody else so they can mix it for you. You're going to have to stem them out anyway. And it's better that you name your tracks or even if you send a person the session, it's better that you name your tracks. So if you have a whole bunch of garbage, written in here on your tracks, it's just too confusing. The best thing to do is just go in. It takes a minute, maybe. Name all your tracks out the way they need to be named, and you can get going. Okay? So now we got them tracked out. Alright. So right now I'm clicking Control down arrow, and that spreads them out all the same. Now the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to hit Shift and the right arrow, and you see this little mix thing, it's cycling through the different looks in your track view. And I want to do in and out. You want to send these all to a certain number of buses, and we have my master, music, drums, vocals. So what I like to do is send all my drums to a drum bus, send all of my music to a music bus, and send all my vocals to a vocal bus. And sometimes I leave the lead vocals separate, and sometimes I send them to the vocal bus. But this helps you when you're mixing. So you want to make it all right when you're mixing, okay? So these all right now are going to the master, and we want to send them to their appropriate bus, right? What I like to do is separate them first into music and drums, because they usually don't start out that way. So you can click in these little things here, or you can go here and you can move stuff up and down to where you want it. Okay, so I'm gonna put my kick up here, I'm gonna put my drums up top and my music down at the bottom, and then my vocals will be below that. Okay, alright, now we have them separated. So now we're gonna go into, I'm clicking D and I'm going into my console view, go to this little strips thing right here and narrow these strips, so I don't like that. So now I have all my tracks named out, right? So now I'm going to highlight all these right here just like this. I'm going to click and drag, and all these tracks are highlighted, right? I'm going to press Control Shift, because these are the ones I want to go. So I press Control Shift, click that master button right there, and then choose drums, and that's going to send them all to drums. I'm going to highlight these for music, Control Shift, click this little output, send it to music. Now when we press play, you see we have our drums, right? So this is already too loud. So now we're already starting to pre-mix. Anytime you have anything peaking, you want to pull it down. You don't want anything peaking. So we're starting to pull things down now. We're starting to pre-mix here. Okay. And the more you pre-mix and you pre-bus and you send everything to the right channels and the buses, the better, the easier it is to work. You do it, you just kind of do it on the fly. So when you get into mixing finally, it's kind of halfway done for you. You don't have to start from the beginning. But you see now, and then we hit this bus, and this is music, right? Start pulling these down. These, you don't necessarily want to mess with these bus mixer faders. You can if you want to, but the idea is to leave them at 0 and work with your faders. And then when you start to get into your final mix, if you feel like the music is too loud, you can pull all the music down with this. This is better than grouping. Sometimes people lock in faders because they have the mix that they want. I personally feel like you never ever get to that point where you have all the faders exactly where you want them. So if you want to pull everything down, you can come to your bus and pull everything down. If you want to pull one individual item down, you can do that without grouping and ungrouping it. It just gets annoying. So this is, for me, this is the best route to go. So the next thing that we're going to do here is set ourselves up for vocals. What you want to do for your tracks, what I normally do is I normally put several tracks in at a time, depending on what the situation is. Like if I am going to do a full chorus with lots of harmonies, I usually will put about 10 tracks in there. I have two tracks for the lead. One is for a demo and the other one is for my final lead vocals. And then I'll have 8 tracks depending on how many voices I have. I'll set up 2 tracks per voice. So most of the time I'll do a 4-part harmony or 3-part harmony with one of the voices either doubled or add what's called an octave on there, and I'll show you what I mean. On this one, we're going to do that. We're going to do at least 4 vocals, gonna throw some harmonies on there. If I'm doing rap, I'm going to usually do like anywhere from 2 to 4 vocals. You know what I mean? I'm going to have my lead vocal going straight down the middle, and then I'm going to have probably 2 ad-lib tracks, 2 accent tracks, and then maybe 1 ad-lib track. And the accent tracks will accent certain words in the rap vocal, and then the ad-lib track will actually, be that crazy voice that's just saying different kind of stuff here and there. You can also add 2 ad-lib tracks if you want. I've seen some rappers get pretty crazy. So, how many audio tracks should I add then? Okay, so I don't have the song written, but my idea is I want to show you guys harmonies and I want to show you guys rap. So, I'm gonna set up 4 tracks for rap, because I'm gonna in the bridge or the third verse I'm gonna put a rap in there. So I'm gonna have the rap track, I'm gonna have 2 accent tracks and 1 ad-lib track. So that's 4. And then for my singing vocals, I'm gonna have 4 tracks for background harmonies. So that gives me 8 total. That gives me 8 total that I need to add on that one. Then I'm gonna add 2 tracks, 1 for a demo track and 1 for a lead track. So that's a total of 10 for vocals and a total of 4 for the rap. So I need 14 tracks. And you're like, wow, that's a lot, because we already got 13. Well, this is how you create a song. Alright, so I'm in here, I right click, and I'm putting in multiple tracks. And I said I want 14 tracks, and for now I want to send them all to vocals. Later on I'll probably separate them a little bit more, separate them into rap vocals and singing vocals. But for now, this is fine. And I'll show you guys how to do that. And I don't want any MIDI tracks, but I want 14 audio tracks. And I hit OK, and it creates those audio tracks for me. And it also, if I press Control down here, it also sends them to vocals, to the vocals bus. Okay, and so I think we're all set to record this song. So the next couple videos, we're going to go over some key things on how to record, and we'll start talking about, and we'll start recording. So I'll see you then.